Hello, A Knife's Tale here, bringing you a review of a knife I unboxed a while ago. The Jack Wolf Knives Bionic Jack. This is a locking version of the Cyborg Jack, I believe it was called. I have the box still right here, in fact, with your little imagery on it. And, simply put, I love this knife. Absolutely do. If that's all you need to know, it's a great knife. They're $350 normally. This is the crystal tie version. I think there might be some of these still available at Knife Center where they were an exclusive. Maybe. Can't say that for certain, especially depending on when you're watching this. It's a great knife. It's pretty awesome. I love it. If that's all you care about, drop a like, drop a subscription, drop a comment down below, and you're good. But we're going to go into this knife a little bit further. And I do have one nitpick with this knife. Two nitpicks. One's maybe not really a problem, but it could be better. And the other one is personal opinion. So that's just me. Blade length is about 3 1/8 to this part of the handle. Overall, it is approximately 7 5/8, just maybe a hair under that. 4 1/4 for the handle by itself. It's sitting between 4 1/4 and 4 3/8. So if you really wanted to just sort of devolve this thing down, you could say it's about 3 1/4 overall on the blade. Almost 7 3/4 with a 4 1/4 handle. It's not quite right, but it's close enough. Comparisons to the small knife of the Wii Elementum, or the CV Elementum, not the Wii Elementum. There is a Wii Elementum. I do not have it. As much as I like the Elementum, and I do really, really like the Elementum, I'm not compelled to get the Wii version for some reason. I don't know why. Civivi Conspirator for full size. As you can see, this knife sort of falls directly in between. It's a medium knife. This is full or medium size, so yeah, it's like kind of a great size for just usage and carry without being too big, without being too aggressive, without being too loud. This one's got a lot going for it in that regard. Weight. Can you see the weight? I can't tell. Yes, you can. 3.26 ounces, almost an ounce an inch, which is fantastic for the ratios, people. This thing is very close. For the hardware, that is not a T8. The screws on the overlay or inlay or whatever you want to call it are T8s. I'm pretty sure there's other screws underneath there that are probably T8s as well. That, on the pivot, almost feels like a T10. I have one right here. Let's see. That's a T10. I haven't had a mess with this thing. It came perfect. And it stayed that way over a week or two of carry. And some usage. So T10, it doesn't look like it's captive. I'm pretty certain it is. I don't know who makes these things. I don't think it feels a lot like Riot, but I don't think it is Riot. Because they haven't said, I don't believe, which is up to the manufacturer. But I think it is captive. I have 2 others, and I believe they were captive despite having tooling on both sides. Don't exactly quote me on that. I don't want to mess up this knife. It's perfect. It's right where it needs to be. I don't want to mess it up. There's no play in any direction. It's solid. Let's finish up the specs with some thicknesses. Why does it like doing that? This is contoured, very lightly, but contoured. 450 thousandths. Despite the contouring, it is still quite thin. Blade stock. I'm going to call that 120 thousandths. This is probably going to be very difficult to do because that edge is very... You can see where I used it a little bit right there. That edge bevel is very small, and the blade is hollow ground, super thin, super ridiculously stupid thin. Let's see. Let's get it where it's supposed to be. No, you're falling down. Wow, really? That far up on the blade is 20 thousandths. That's... I don't think that's still life. Oh, this one's going to be a pain in the butt. I can see it now. Yeah, I'm seeing way too far down. It's just, it wants to go down super far. This says 13 thousandths, and I'm pretty certain I am too far down the blade. Yeah, I don't know if I can get this one. It's so darn thin. $10 or 11 thousandths is where I'm going to go with. Just, it's thin. It's very thin. And because the blade's so thin, it sort of just wants, and it stays thin, it just wants to slide up the blade from that hollow grind. But I'm going to call it around 10 thousandths, maybe 11. It's not making it easy on me, is basically what I'm trying to say. So beyond that, what do we got? We got S90V. This clip point blade that's not, like, it's not really trailing point. It's not higher than the spine, but it's kind of trailing point. It looks like it is. We've got a sharpening choil that honestly could be a tiny bit better. I think the sharpening choil, despite it actually, the plunge grind actually ends like here. It's kind of hard to tell where the plunge grind ends. I guess it's right there. I mean, it could end way up there and have the whole thing, but yeah, it's a great sharpening choil, and it should give you quite a decent amount of life, especially considering how thin this thing is. You're not gonna have it going up the blade that fast. We have a blasted titanium, creating a faux bolster. It is a titanium frame lock with the faux bolster. This particular version is, like I said, the Knife Center exclusive with the crystal tie, which is very nice. I saw this and I was like, yep, that one's the one I want. And it's a little more purple than it is blue, which is interesting. Because it looked blue, but the screws are more purple, and the whole thing is more of a purple overall. I still like it. We also have a polished full-length backspacer and a polished clip. That works quite well. Even though it has a little bit high tension on it, it works. Moving on to ergos. They're fantastic. You don't feel the clip. You have room to move around. It is pretty darn neutral. It feels a little bit odd where the indent of the lock face goes in, because you have a little bit of a hard edge. Why is this not focusing? Focus. You have hard edges right there. But you don't really go into it, and you can easily go right up in front of it, and yeah, it's not a problem whatsoever. You just adjust a tiny bit if you feel weird or something like that. You can get way up there because of how flat and square this is, and you're still not even all that too close to the edge of the blade. You have functional jimping. Not that you really need it, but you have it. we have this fuller that I've been using primarily to reverse flick this thing. Falls in a good spot. It is also a front flipper on bearings. I do wish that they would change this jimping a little bit. I like the finer jimping where each bit is a little closer and the jimps themselves, I guess you call them, are thinner. More of a wire kind of thing. These ones, while I think this is the best of the locking Jack Wolf knives in feel, the other two were a little bit sharp, just a little bit more than I needed them to be. This one's pretty darn good though, so I'm not taking any points away from it. And yeah, it doesn't go up above, but who cares? Like the other ones, I wouldn't want to do this on because they kind of are sharp and unpleasant. But this one, no, that one's sharp and unpleasant too. Don't do that. Yeah, that actually got me good. That's the problem with this kind of jimping. It can be a little bit aggressive. And while it provides good, you know, traction is what the word I'm looking for, I find finer jimping to be usually universally better. Yes, dog, you're distracting me as always. You are a permanent feature, we know. So, the only real negative, because this thing cuts like a beast, it's light, it's smooth, it came perfect, basically. The only real negative that I have with this is that you don't have a whole lot of access to the lock bar. That's been the case with all of the locking Jack Wolf knives, because they want to keep the same sort of slip joint aesthetic. So it's a choice they're making, because they want this to look this way. Ideally, you'd have just a tiny bit cut back or something there. You do have it bowled out, and it's not hard to get to, so I'm not going to complain too much. I just kind of wish there was a little bit more, because I have to go in from sort of, not quite the front, but almost the front, instead of coming in from the side. Can't really do that. The action is great. The only other complaint I have with this knife, and again, this is not a complaint, this is my personal opinion, is this is called the Bionic Jack, and the other one was called the Cyborg Jack. And you've got this hard angle, modern kind of take on things. I really wish they'd changed up the blade shape on this. They've used this blade shape on several other models, the Bennies, the Sharpshooter, etc., etc. I really just wish they changed up the blade shape to fit this aesthetic a little bit more. Maybe just a straight clip. Maybe a Tonto with a straight leading edge. Something that said Bionic a little bit better than that. That's personal opinion. That's just me. I think it would just be cool, basically. It's just fully embracing the whole design. Because, again, you've got models that have this blade shape on them. Something a little bit different with like a Tonto or something would have been interesting. That said, it didn't stop me from getting the knife, and it doesn't stop me from loving the knife because it's great. The bad thing about this blade shape is that the tip is pretty much out of use range. So, they could have actually corrected that, not corrected that, but made that a non-factor by making it a Tonto and giving you the secondary tip, but it is what it is. I guess they wanted to keep some of that traditional DNA. And they did it. It's a modern, traditional bridge between the slip joints and locking knives. honestly, there's not much else to say here. This is a great knife. Jack Wolf knives in general are really good knives. They're light duty slicers. So don't, if you're going to take it out outside to work with, this is not an outdoors knife, really. This is not a work knife, really. This is just a light, well, I mean, you can take it to work, but this is light duty, sort of. I need to slice something well. And this one does it. It's pretty darn comfortable in the hand. And it's pretty darn great. Good steel. No problems whatsoever. The base models of these are coming in around $350, as I think I already said that. Did I mention that? I don't know. I'm losing my mind. It's all blurring together. But that's all for me. I definitely recommend the Jack Wolf Bionic Jack and previous locking iterations of their knives as well. I'm going to review some of them too, because I have others. That's all for me. Like, subscribe, and comment if you would kindly. I will see you in the next one. Bye now.